crowd around it. Today's gonna be a good day. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today I'm fulfilling one of my ultimate childhood dreams, which is to go to the Goodwood Festival of Speed, and on top of that, we're getting the full VIP treatment with Roger Dubuis. Thankfully, they've invited me, and I'm not really sure what's in store, but I've been promised some watchmaking workshops and all sorts of car-related fun activities. So we're going on the first day. Today is Thursday of the Goodwood Festival of Speed. So I think we're going to get early access to see pretty much everything that you otherwise would end up seeing on YouTube before you actually got to the event on a weekend, let's say. So I'm really excited for it. It is raining a little bit, which isn't ideal, but this is the UK, so what would you expect? So we're heading to Goodwood in Franck's Ferrari F430. This is a pretty unique car, I would have to say.
Hi everyone.
I mean, everyone who knows Franck knows he's very meticulous about every car he picks, and this one in particular took about, what, 2 years?
Something like that, yeah, very
like
choosy.
But he ended up picking pretty much the perfect spec, right? So we've got, what's the color name for this one?
Rosso Corsa.
Oh, it's Rosso Corsa, okay. He's got pretty much full carbon interior.
We've got the red stitching, that's very traditional. We've got full electric seats, including heating. We've got sensors, parking sensors, rear and front, and yeah, there's probably a couple of other options. Forget now. But there's one super important option, which you didn't mention, and that's it's manual. How many manual cars are made in the UK? Probably still about 110, 120 remaining in the UK for 430.
So this is a pretty rare example, especially with this option set. I've only seen another manual F430, only one in the last year of just being out and about, and that car was actually in the States. And in the States, I mean, the prices are kind of crazy everywhere, but there it was selling for well over 100,000 more than you paid for it here, and it was gray with low options. So with that all being said, I don't know what we're in store for exactly at this moment for today, but I'm sure we're going to have a lot of interesting activities, so definitely stay tuned and hope you guys enjoy. So this being both Franck and I's first time to the Festival of Speed, we left at around 8 a.m. for what should have been a 45-minute drive from Surrey, but we didn't actually arrive to our parking spot until about 11 a.m. Now, this being the Thursday, the slowest of the 4 days, we were not expecting this kind of traffic, but just as a word of advice, if you plan on going next year, you probably want to leave way earlier than you think you need to. Once we did arrive though, we met representatives from Roger Dubuis who gave us our tickets and badges before they chauffeured us to the VIP entrance. Then we made our way to the Roger Dubuis Lounge, where we were given a private watchmaking workshop with one of the head watchmakers from Geneva. We first learned how to polish surfaces and cut edges. This tool you're seeing on the right, which is only a little bit bigger than the size of a pen, is what we use to actually cut that angle into the edge of this piece. You can even see in this clip here how uneven the angles I have on all the different edges. It was so difficult to get right. Now in this clip you can actually see the finished product of the piece I've been working on. It's actually part of the tourbillon, which is a mechanism used to actually increase the accuracy, and you typically only see it in very high-end watches. And then we actually got to disassemble a movement ourselves. The components themselves are super small, so we have to use a very specific set of screws, which still very easily scratch the surfaces. And if you do even have just the slightest scratch, you end up having to restart that whole polishing process we just talked about. We were using this set of instructions to kind of keep us on track with what we needed to disassemble and to keep track of the components, which were obviously very, very small. And the crazy part is, these aren't even the smallest pieces they have. At one point, the watchmaker who was giving us the instructions pulled out another movement, which was a much more advanced movement than this one, and he somehow with his naked eye managed to unscrew the screw, which was probably about half the size of the one you just saw. I mean, I was using a magnifying loupe and I could still barely even see these screws, so it really was a testament to the skill level that these watchmakers have. It genuinely heightened my appreciation for what watchmakers are able to do. Obviously, these processes can all be done by machines these days, but the fact that humans can actually operate with this level of precision was really fascinating to me. This polishing process you're seeing here takes one single person, an hour per side, times the number of pieces per watch, which can be anywhere between 300 to 700 parts. And this one person does all the watches, at least the watches that require this type of polishing. In case you were wondering, I was awful at the disassembly process, but Franck seemed like a bit of a natural to our surprise. And then it was time to relax in the Roger Dubuis lounge, where we were greeted with some champagne and raclette, which was very, very nice, I have to say. And then we got to try on a bunch of the different watches. So this is a 39mm. I think it really fits my wrist. But the cool thing is, if you notice on that strap, you can see it's kind of a weird rubbery texture. The reason why is because it's actually Formula One race-winning tire rubber that they use to make the straps, which I think is quite interesting. Roger Dubuis really specialized in this sort of skeletonized movement, as well as the tourbillons that you see in a lot of their different models. And this one-of-one watch you're seeing now really epitomizes the type of design they go for. I mean, you have a double tourbillon, super, super rare, and you can actually see the initials NA, which stand for Nicola Andrada, which is the CEO of Roger Dubuis. So this is a one-of-one piece, and it was being worn by this gentleman you're seeing on the screen now, Gregory Breton, the product strategy director at Roger Dubuis. So he really is one of the visionaries leading the development and the design aspect of this. And he actually sat with us for about an hour, almost an hour and a half, just sort of talking and answering any sort of questions we had. And I must say, I learned so much about the watch industry from that conversation. So next up, we had lunch at the Drivers Club, which, as the name suggests, is where the drivers hang out. So there were a lot of familiar faces. This was an opportunity to exchange stories with some of the other guests, and we had a great time. And then, rather unexpectedly, I was whisked away to the Forest Rally stage at Goodwood for what would be an absolutely unforgettable experience. And it was an experience very few people were offered, so I'm super, super grateful I got to do it. So the car I would do the rally stage in was a Ford RS 1600 Mark I, and I believe this was a works car, but my history in rally is not so great, so I don't know the significance really. So someone in the comments will definitely have to let me know. But what I did know was this car was rear-wheel drive, super stripped down, super lightweight, and it was certainly going to be a lot of fun. And just before setting off for the rally, I had a quick chat with the driver to get a little bit of his insight. So you do time stuff tomorrow then?
Yeah. If you want, we normally do demo class. There's a time class, but you need to be in a. We've got some four-wheel drive cars. We need to be really serious.
Right.
You know what I mean? I normally do. The last 4 years, I've just been doing the hill. I haven't been here before on the rally stage for a long time.
What type of stuff do you normally drive on the hill?
Factory rally cars, so
Yeah.
Subarus. So last year I was driving the Safari winning car, and again you don't push that hard.
Right.
It's not a dog box, so it's a synchro 5-speed box. But it's
Synchro?
impossible to get out of third gear.
You said it's Synchro?
Yeah, ZF box, not a dog box.
Yeah. And then it was time to head off. This run was super clean, minus a small hiccup you're going to see in a second, but hopefully the difficulty of this loose surface driving comes across in this video. And that was a very quick synopsis of what it felt like to go up that rally stage. The real one was about 3.5 minutes with that short spin there. But if you enjoyed that part of the video, definitely give this video a like, and I'll release the full 3.5 minute unedited onboard in a future video. And on our way back to the pits, the driver and I had a quick chat about the differences in driving style between what he does and what I do. And I think he's got me pretty convinced that rally school is definitely something in my future. Now, for the last couple of hours that the show was open, I was able to just basically do whatever I wanted, and so we got to listen to some pretty sweet sounding drift cars. And then the last couple of hours we basically spent to just soak in as much as we possibly could of the cars that were there on display. Like, here are 6 McLaren F1 cars all together. There's a little bit of everything at this show, including this Singer Turbo based on a 930 Turbo, one of the most beautiful cars I saw. But there really was so much variety and so much to see that it was kind of overwhelming.
Too many places to look.
And that kind of sums up the experience of Goodwood. I mean, having a 4-day pass is not unreasonable. If you really want to take your time and learn about all the cars that are here, you certainly could. I mean, you had everything from pre-war cars to post-war cars, race cars to road-going manufacturer cars. I mean, you name it, it was here. So while I'd love to show you everything I saw, here's a compilation of some of my favorites.
Okay, now this is wild.
Alright, so it's now 8 o'clock. It's been a pretty full-on day. We left the house 12 hours ago, so it's been pretty full-on, but I have to say this is an experience I'll never forget. And obviously huge thank you to Roger Dubuis for, you know, the amazing hospitality, and they definitely went above and beyond giving us the experience that I'll never forget for sure. So with that being said, I want to ask Frank what your favorite part of the day was.
Well, it's a difficult one, really. I think for me what's memorable was really the workshop that we had with Roger Dubuis. Yeah, it just goes to show what's involved in making high quality, high-end watch.
You definitely change your perspective a bit about, you know, the effort that goes into it. But I'd say for me, my favorite part of the day has to be the rally stage.
Right.
It's not the fastest thing I've ever been in, but I have to say though, like, it's just a different experience. Also to go up in a rally stage in a rear-wheel drive car, and it's a completely different driving style to me, but it definitely made me want to go and do a rally school. So maybe there's a video on that in the future.
Absolutely, sure. But I think there was quite a lot, you know, around cars doing speaking, and when you look at the F1 paddock, that was really great. Looking at all the generation of cars, and including, you know, cars driven by Senna and some of the world's great like Schumacher.
It's honestly almost too much to see. I mean, at least in one day. You almost become desensitized. You see one F1, McLaren F1, 10 feet later, you're going to see an F1 GTR, an F1 GTR Longtail, and you, by the end of it, you end up seeing 8 F1s, and you're desensitized to seeing something that special. But I'm not complaining. I'm definitely not complaining. But it is definitely one of those experiences you'll never forget. I can definitely check this off my bucket list, at least for now. So with that all being said, hope you guys enjoyed this video and you got a unique experience to see what it's like to go to Goodwood and the Roger Dubuis VIP experience. So if you enjoyed it, please give it a like and consider subscribing if you want to see more content in the future. But with that, see you guys on the next one.
Goodbye.